the day before the ballet competition. My fiancé invited me to his house to celebrate his birthday. As soon as I entered, he knocked me out and locked me in the basement. Lucas chained my ankles with iron shackles. His expression cold. Behave yourself. Once Isabella secures the lead roll, I'll let you out. She's already lost me. She can't lose her dream too. My PTSD kicked in, and I passed out in the darkness of the basement. Later, Lucas covered my hospital room with rose petals. His eyes red as he begged me to marry him. But the moment I saw him, I panicked, screaming in terror, hiding behind the doctor. Who are you? No, don't come near me. Get away. My head throbbed, and my consciousness felt hazy. Half awake, I moved my feet, only to realize that my ankles were tightly shackled by two heavy iron chains. The silence around me was deafening, with the sound of metal scraping the floor piercing through the stillness. You're awake? The voice startled me, and I opened my eyes to see darkness and a narrow space that made my body tense up. I vaguely recognized the voice. It was my fiancé, Lucas. Lucas? Is this some kind of surprise? I don't want this kind of surprise. Let's go out. Please? I forced a smile, afraid to ruin his mood, pushing down the fear rising inside me, trying to convince him. But he wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he stroked my face, tracing over my eyebrows and eyes with deliberate slowness. I will let you out. But not now. Behave. Once Isabella gets the lead roll in the company, I'll let you go. I stared at him in confusion, trying to grasp his meaning. Isabella? Isabella? It was the first time I had ever heard him mention another woman's name. And in a moment like this, was the birthday surprise a lie? Was his wish for my competition tomorrow just a pretense? He had knocked me out and locked me here just to pave the way for Isabella to get the coveted lead roll. But that was my dream too. Lucas gently wiped away the tears that fell from my frightened eyes and continued. You'll still have a chance. After it's over, I'll marry you too. Sweetheart. You're different from Isabella. She's already lost me, and she can't lose her dream too. He called me sweetheart. But his mind was preoccupied with another woman, making decisions for her, even locking me in my worst nightmare. I lost control, clutching his pant leg, overwhelmed with fear and panic. He didn't know I had claustrophobia. Lucas, please, don't lock me in here. I have claustrophobia. I'm scared. If you leave me here, I'll die. Holding on to the last bit of hope, I prayed that if he knew the truth, maybe he'd feel sorry and let me out. But he didn't. Lucas pried my fingers off one by one, stood up, and disappeared back into the darkness, his voice fading away. Right now, nothing is more important than Isabella. I can't let anything go wrong with her competition. Whatever you're dealing with, just stay here for now. The two tight shackles had cut into my ankles, leaving them swollen and bruised. I cried until I was gasping for breath, screaming after Lucas as he walked away. But he never turned back. Alone in the darkness, overwhelming fear washed over me like a tidal wave. My heart pounded in my chest, and after a frantic bout of sobbing, I passed out. When I woke up again, the sharp scent of disinfectant in the air told me I was still alive. But my mind felt blank, heavy, as though something had been forgotten. A soft rustling next to me caught my attention. Justin, who had been sitting nearby, leaned over with concern, fussing over me like a mother hen. You're awake. How do you feel? Are you uncomfortable anywhere? Hungry? Want something to eat or drink? I shook my head, confused by his constant questioning. I wanted to ask why I was in the hospital, but before I could, Justin's outburst interrupted my thoughts. Lucas. That bastard. How could he do this? Lucas is. I mumbled, trying to say something, but before I could finish, my attention was drawn to the TV. It was a live broadcast from the National Theater. The competition had ended, And the girl receiving the award was someone I didn't recognize. She looks just like me. I blurted out suddenly. Justin's expression turned uneasy as he muttered, "Don't watch this," fumbling to find the remote to change the channel. Before he could, the camera panned to the audience, where a man was sitting, applauding. He looked at the girl on stage with a tender smile, his eyes soft. That one glance triggered a wave of fear that engulfed me. I jolted upright, eyes wide with terror, swatting at the air as if trying to fend off a ghost. The IV needle in my hand was ripped out, blood seeping from the wound. "No, no. Get him away. Emily? Okay. Okay. He's gone. Calm down. Calm down." Justin held me to stop my flailing, and my initial struggle gradually gave way to unconscious convulsions, scaring him into rushing for the doctor. The pain was unbearable, as though some memories hurt whether I recalled them or forgot them. After being injected with a sedative, I collapsed into sleep like a broken machine forcibly shut down. In the endless darkness, I dreamt again and again, reliving moments with the person I had tried to forget. In the dream, it all began innocently enough. "All right then. Number 2 and number 4. Pretend to be a couple for a week." I stared at the heart-shaped card in my hand, glancing across the table at Lucas, who casually flashed his number for card with a smirk. Noticing my gaze, he raised an eyebrow, his lips curling into a teasing smile. "I know you, little swan." Emily. Even though I knew it was just for fun, a game to liven up the gathering, Lucas still poured his heart into that week, treating me with surprising tenderness. Every morning, he'd show up with breakfast, sitting with me through those bland, tasteless diet meals. Even an entire day in the dance studio, Lucas did nothing but watch me train, leaving countless photos of me in his camera. He even said that I looked best from the back. "You really don't get bored with such a dull routine?" "Of course. I used to." He stopped mid-sentence and smiled at me. "I've always thought girls who dance are beautiful. Now that I have the chance to be close to one, how could I ever get bored?" I blushed, lowering my gaze, not noticing that his eyes seemed to look past me, as if seeing someone else. On the last day, just before we parted, he stood in front of me, holding flowers. The warm glow of the yellow light added a soft warmth to his figure. "Emily, can I pursue you? I want the most legitimate reason to take care of you. In the first 20 years of my life, my dysfunctional family had made me gloomy and withdrawn. I craved warmth and love. So when Lucas asked that question, I nodded without a second thought. I couldn't deny that I had truly fallen for him. Later, as we began dating and entered the honeymoon phase, he rebuilt my confidence, step by step, helping me push through countless obstacles. On the day the finals list was announced, I wore my favorite performance costume as I accepted his proposal. "Emily, marry me. I'll be your shelter and love you forever." The dream shifted and swirled, plunging me back into a world of confusion. The whispers of a demon surged up again from the suffocating darkness. "Emily, Isabella can't lose her dream again. Emily, don't even think about running. Stay here like a good girl." "No," I screamed, clutching my ears in agony, breaking free from the nightmare and suddenly waking up. "What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" Justin's worried face hovered over me as he wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. I took deep breaths, trying to recall the dream, but my mind was completely blank. "I think so. I don't remember." Justin sat beside me, his eyes occasionally darting toward the door, clearly hesitant about something before finally speaking up. Lucas is here to see you. Do you want to meet him?" I looked at him, confused, and finally asked the question that had been on my mind. "Lucas? Who is he?" From the shock in Justin's eyes, I realized I was supposed to know this person, perhaps even well, but I couldn't remember anything at all. My ears were sharp enough to catch the conversation between the doctor and Justin outside the room. "She seems to be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. In simple terms, the psychological trauma was too severe. So her brain has activated a self-defense mechanism to block out those painful memories. Justin muttered to himself. His voice stinged with regret. The trauma was that severe. I gazed out the window at the falling leaves, repeating those words in my head. Just how severe must it have been for me to willingly sacrifice my completeness, to forget it all? Suddenly, the sound of a scuffle outside the room broke the silence. Justin's angry voice rang out, accompanied by the sound of punches landing hard. You're out of your mind. I told you. I'll take responsibility for her. But I don't regret what I've done. Justin was furious. Take responsibility? You're the one who caused all of this. What right do you have to talk about responsibility? I must have been blind to introduce you to her. I'm warning you. Stay away from Emily and never come near her again. Curiosity piqued. I turned my face toward the commotion outside. The man's face was obscured in shadow, making it impossible to see him clearly. I should be warning you. I'm Herfy Inc. So stay out of this. If I don't see her today, I'll come tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after. Now that Isabella has what she wants, I've got all the time in the world. Fy Inc. And Justin was the one who introduced him? And who was Isabella? A flood of information suddenly crashed into me all at once, pressing my throbbing temples. I looked up to see Justin walking back in. His head hung low, avoiding eye contact. I couldn't help but laugh. You look like a rooster who just lost a fight. My joke did nothing to ease his worry. Justin ran his fingers through his hair, pulling hard as if he'd made a major decision. His eyes reddened as he finally spoke. I'm so sorry, Emily. This is all my fault. Through Lin Jingyu, I eventually learned the whole story. The man who called himself my fiancé had an exceptional, independent ex-girlfriend back in high school. She was slender, always smiling, and, like me, studied ballet. They were forced to break up because their families disapproved. Afterward, Lucas fell into a deep depression, shutting himself off from the world. It wasn't until he went to university, farther away from home, that he began to recover. Meeting Justin along the way. It was during that time that Lin Jingyu heard the whole story from Lucas. As the president of the photography club, Lin orchestrated a social event between clubs, hoping that I could help Lucas move on. Everything, from the games to the supposed coincidences, was carefully planned. From the start, I was just a pawn in their game. I'm sorry. If I had known what he would do to you, I would never have pushed you into that pit. Justin cried, remorseful. But his confession didn't elicit any reaction from me, because none of what he said sparked any memories. It felt like I was listening to someone else's life, not mine. I reached up to touch my eyes, finding them wet with tears. The atmosphere in the room was heavy, clearing my throat. I changed the subject. So, can I still dance? According to Justin, I had been a strong candidate for the lead role in the ballet company. Even if I'd forgotten my past, I still wanted to continue down that path. Justin looked at me, a hint of sadness in his eyes, and I could sense the weight of his unspoken words hanging between us. The doctor said that the buckle was too tight at the time, injuring the tendons and bones. And because I kept struggling, it got worse. But it won't affect your daily life. And the doctor only said you might not be able to dance. Not that you definitely can't. He was eager to explain. But every might from his mouth felt like a blunt denial to me. I stared at my toes hidden under the blanket, lost in thought. A deep pain pressed on my chest, making it hard to breathe, as if I'd suddenly lost something very important. My voice was calm, but tears uncontrollably rolled down my hands. Am I really his fiancé? If that's true, why was he in love with someone else and still with me? And after being together, why did he destroy me to fulfill someone else? And then shamelessly say he would take responsibility? Seeing my tear-streaked face, Justin was at a loss for words. He just stroked my head. repeating over and over. I'll give you an answer. The sun set. The moon rose. And fell again. Under the influence of the medication, my eyelids grew heavy. And I fell asleep with tears still in my eyes. Justin didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, when I woke up, I saw the dark circles under his eyes and felt a pang of guilt. Was it because of me? He avoided answering and placed a bag of breakfast on the table. You just need to know. No matter what. We owe you. You don't need to feel sorry. I nodded absently, sipping my porridge as I watched Justin answer a phone call, glancing at me every now and then with a serious expression. Okay. I'll ask her. He turned toward me, his voice soft. Isabella. She wants to come see you. Do you want to meet her? From everything Justin had told me before, I hadn't sensed any malice from this person named Isabella. So, I nodded. Okay. Isabella moved fast. Within 10 minutes, she was at the hospital entrance. Emily. I'll go get her. Wait here for a bit. All right. I watched him leave. Then turned my bored gaze to the TV. I switched the channel to a music program. The dancers on stage stood in a row, holding hands, rising on their toes performing the classic Swan Lake. Some muscle memory unique to me tingled from my mind down to my toes. I tentatively moved my ankle. The doctor only said I might not be able to dance. Not that I definitely can't. I muttered, repeating Justin's words, filled with hope as I leaned on the cabinet to get out of bed. What if? What if I still could? The solid feeling of my foot touching the ground filled me with joy. I tried to stand. But the next second, a sharp pain shot through my ankle, sending me collapsing to the floor. Disjointed fragments of memory surged forward, in response to the pain. Tight iron chains. A dark basement. A damp wardrobe. And several people ignoring my cries for help. Terrified, I tried to get up. But the pain in my ankle was excruciating. I could only sit on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I can't even stand. When Lin Jingyu and Isabella entered, the bed was empty. They rushed to the side of the bed and found me curled up on the floor, clutching my head. The reality that I couldn't stand and the flood of fragmented memories crashing over me sent me spiraling. I screamed, forbidding anyone to come near me, returning to my initial state of extreme caution. No, don't lock me up. Please, don't lock me up. I know I was wrong. Don't touch me. As I struggled, the wounds that had been healing tore open again, blood seeping through the bandages. All right. I won't touch you. Emily. Emily. Look at me. I'm Isabella. Seeing my unstable condition, Isabella hesitated, withdrawing the hand she had stretched toward my leg. Her eyes were filled with tears, her face full of sorrow as she looked at the wreck I had become. How did it come to this? We just saw each other at the competition. You even gave me one of your handmade paper cranes. She tried to hold back her sobs. Strangely, her voice calmed me. I met her gaze through my tears, watching as she knelt in front of me, quietly telling me stories of our past together. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Lucas told me you were getting married. So you weren't going to compete anymore. I thought it was such a pity. I didn't even question what he said. You were so brilliant on stage. How could you be willing to give that up? I should have thought more about it. I barely understood her words. But for some reason, they made my heart ache, and tears began to stream down my face. Isabella cautiously reached out to hold me. I was still scared, but I didn't push her away, allowing her and Justin to help me back into bed. She stayed with me for a long time, chatting softly, worried her emotions might affect me. So she kept smiling, talking to me even though I stared blankly, not responding. She didn't mind at all. Before leaving, Isabella's eyes were red, and her hand gently patted my head. Take care of yourself. I'll visit again when I can. Justin, take good care of her. I sat quietly on the bed, watching the sunlight fade. Justin remained silent too, occasionally peeling an apple and handing it to me. We sat there, wordless. But somehow, it wasn't boring. Emily? I came to see you. My ears perked up at the familiar voice. Justin was quick to react, rushing to the door to block it. Didn't I warn you not to come back? Don't you understand plain language? I told you. Stay out of this. Emily is my fiancée. Who are you to her? I ignored their argument and looked through the window outside. Speaking directly. Who is it? Emily. It's me. I frowned, feeling like this person was talking nonsense. Who are you? The man outside froze for a moment, his voice faltering with hesitation. Are you still mad at me? He asked, utterly confused. And I glanced at Justin before responding with a question. Why would I be angry? There was a long silence outside the room. He tried to push the door open, but Justin grabbed him by the collar and shoved him out, landing a punch square on his face. Justin, for real, has quite the skill when it comes to throwing punches. I'm telling you, Emily isn't mad, and she'll never be mad at you again, because she's already forgotten you. The two of you are done, with no more ties. When she gets better, we'll deal with you for what you did. She's finally stable now. And if you dare to disturb her again, I'll beat you every time I see you. Justin's voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for me to hear. It had been a long time since anyone had stood up for me like that. But here, I pressed my hand to my chest, slowly feeling the rhythm of my heartbeat. Why was there no emotion here at all? The person outside, hearing Justin's response, became visibly upset, his voice trembling. She forgot me? Impossible. We've been together for so long. We're about to get married. She's lying, right? Let me in. Emily. Emily. More dull punches landed. Justin didn't bother engaging further, instead calling security to drag him out. When Justin came back, I glanced at his reddened fists, deep in thought. I remember you mentioned you're in the photography club. Yeah, but I also train in sports. My ankle was gradually healing, largely thanks to Justin's efforts. I reached out to take the apple slice he handed me, casually speaking. How about you take me outside for a stroll later? The sunshine looks nice out there. Lin Jingyu's eyes lit up with joy, and he eagerly nodded in agreement. Ever since learning that I couldn't even stand due to my injured ankle, Justin had avoided bringing up anything related to it in front of me. He was afraid that any mention of it might upset me again. Justin wheeled me outside. I lifted my hand to catch the rays of sunshine, closing my eyes to feel the warmth filtering through my eyelids. I've noticed you really like being in the sun. Even in the hospital room, you always move to where the light hits. Why do you like it so much? Were you a sun chaser in your past life? I smiled at his teasing, leaning on him as I carefully took a few steps in the warmth of the sunlight. Because when I was little, I didn't get to be in the sun much. My mom and dad, they wouldn't let me. Wouldn't let you? Why not? Yeah. Why didn't they? I stopped walking, slowly piecing together the reasons. Jumbled fragments of memory suddenly crashed into my mind. Someone grabbed my collar and shoved me into that cramped wardrobe. I couldn't stretch out my limbs. Curled up, crying and begging for mercy. Whenever I made too much noise, it earned me an extra beating before being shoved back inside. It was so dark in there, so cramped, and every place that had been hit hurt so much. My gaze toward Justin began to blur. He sensed something was wrong, and quickly wrapped his arms around me, preventing me from hurting myself. Emily. Emily. Calm down. Sweetheart. It's so dark. I'm sorry. Don't lock me up, Dad. Please let me out. I'm begging you. I gasped for breath. The clear feeling of suffocating hit me like a tidal wave. I collapsed into Justin's arms. Please. Someone. Anyone. Save me. Lin Jingyu's eyes reddened. and tears fell onto my skin, burning it, causing me to flinch. The commotion attracted the medical staff. They quickly placed me back in the wheelchair and gathered around me, offering psychological comfort. As my consciousness cleared, I looked up at Justin and saw his stern expression as he spoke on the phone. Noticing my gaze, he quickly hummed up and rushed over. "Emily, are you feeling better?" I remained silent. Not breaking down into hysterics was the best answer I could give him. Lin Jingyu understood, gently rubbing the top of my head as he slowly wheeled me back to the hospital room. Just as we reached the door, we noticed rose petals scattered all the way from outside the room to the bed. I looked confused until I saw someone standing in the midst of all the flowers, dressed in a suit, his back facing me. "Emily, I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Tomorrow, we can go get married." He turned toward me, the ring in the velvet box shining brightly in the sunlight. But perhaps my haggard appearance scared him. As his brows furrowed, and his voice grew quieter and quieter. When I saw his face, the fear buried deep inside me surged up, shattering my sanity once again. I flailed my arms, blindly swinging at the air, mumbling incoherently, trying to get away from him. But being confined to the wheelchair, I nearly fell out multiple times, only avoiding further injury because of Justin's quick reflexes. "Lucas, what's wrong with you? Can't you just leave?" "I'm not. I just wanted to see her. How did she end up like this?" The man, bathed in light, took another step toward me, and the overwhelming terror crushed me, leaving me gasping for air, unable to cope except through screams. So terrifying. "Get away! Get away from me!" As I was on the verge of suffocation, a soft embrace enveloped me, and a gentle female voice spoke above my head. "It's okay. It's okay. I'm here. I'm here." Tears flowed even more fiercely as I nestled into her arms, trembling as I muttered, "Isabella." Isabella stroked my back, soothing me. Once she saw that I'd calmed down a bit, she walked over and slapped the man hard across the face. "Why are you here? Why would you show up in front of her?" Lucas was stunned by the slap, mistakenly thinking she was jealous, and immediately raised his voice in anger. "Get lost. What does it matter to you that I'm here to see her?" Isabella turned back and wrapped her arms around me again, her palm smoothing over the top of my head as her voice grew icy cold. "You came to see her, just to witness the wreck you caused? She could have become a brilliant dancer, but your self-righteousness and foolishness ruined her life. Lucas, if you have even a shred of conscience left, stop pushing her to her death." So his name was Lucas. That's the Lucas, the one who treated me so terribly. Lucas stood there, dumbfounded, watching my reaction. His brows furrowed deeply. He muttered a quick "I'm sorry" before rushing out of the hospital room. Even though Lin Jingyu and Isabella stayed by my side during that time, the nightmares after seeing Lucas constantly haunted me. I woke up screaming, reliving the same nightmare over and over. The next time I jolted awake, I saw Justin gripping a manila envelope, his tears falling one by one onto the papers inside. He knew everything about my past. The dark, painful past that I'd kept hidden. I don't even know who my biological parents were, but it certainly wasn't the couple who raised me. I raised you for nothing. If we didn't need an extra hand, do you think I'd want to bring you back here? Get to work. I would watch my dad gripping his bottle of alcohol, shrink back, and shuffle over to the stove. At 4 or 5 years old, I wasn't even tall enough to reach the stovetop. Yet I already knew how to cook. My hands were constantly soaked in freezing cold water during the harsh winters, and my body was covered in bruises and wounds. But none of that scared me, not as long as I could still breathe in a relatively open space. "You little brat. Who told you to steal from your brother? You greedy thing. Get back inside now." I wanted to tell my mom that I didn't steal anything. My brother had thrown his candy on the ground after eating part of it, and I had simply picked it up and put it in my mouth. Then he ran crying to tell on me. No one ever listened to my explanations. That's how it was for so many years. Even when there was no reason, I would still be thrown into that dark, cramped closet, day after day. Finally, when I was 14, I dragged my skeletal frame and ran away from home. It was a kind-hearted dance teacher who saved me and led me down a path completely different from my past. Justin sat in the soft light, tears clinging to his eyelashes, his shoulders shaking as he sobbed. He probably couldn't imagine that at the same age when others were out having fun or studying hard, someone like me had to fight just to survive. No wonder. You love the sunshine so much dying. I didn't know how to respond. I tried to reach out but hesitated and pulled my hand back. I craved the sunlight, but it never lingered for me. Lucas refused to believe I was sick. Or maybe he just couldn't accept that I no longer loved him. Every time Justin wasn't paying attention, Lucas would sneak into the hospital to see me. And every time, he would only leave after witnessing one of my episodes. Emily, do you really not remember me? I'm your fiancé. We're supposed to get married. I couldn't process his words. I just stared at him in terror, clinging desperately to Justin and the nurse, refusing to let go. Sir, you've repeatedly disturbed the patient, which is a serious violation of hospital regulations. If you show up in front of the patient again, we'll have no choice but to pursue legal action. Justin, being more direct, grabbed Lucas and threw him into the hallway. I've already made it clear. If you have any decency left, stop tormenting her. Whether Lucas finally grew a conscience or if the doctor and Lin Jingyu's threats worked, he didn't show up at the hospital again for a long time. Lin Jingyu was sitting next to me, peeling an orange. He glanced at me and started speaking to himself. Actually, I've known you for a long time. Before you even knew me, I already knew about you. I tilted my head, looking at him in confusion. During early admissions, you came to our school for exams, and I was standing outside watching you. Later, when I became your senior and we became friends, I never dared take that step forward because I didn't feel worthy of you. I always thought you deserved someone better. But then, his voice trailed off, and I kept stuffing orange slices into my mouth, unsure of what to say. I felt like a machine, incapable of offering the emotional responses others expected from me. As we sat in silence, a familiar voice came from the TV. Isabella, her makeup immaculate, with slightly reddened eyes, was being interviewed on camera. I don't deserve this honor. There was another girl who should have been competing with me for this spot. But because of me, she lost her chance. I can't accept this with a clear conscience. I'd like to thank my teacher for nurturing me along the way, but I am officially giving up the title of principal dancer. Her words were firm and decisive, and I felt a tug in my heart. I looked over at Justin, lips slightly parted. He squeezed my hand gently. Isabella told me about this. She thought long and hard before making the decision. It wasn't just for you, but for herself too. You don't need to feel guilty. Justin always understood me. I nodded as he reassured me that Isabella would be coming to the hospital to visit me later. Lin Jingyu had gone to buy food. And feeling bored, I pushed myself around the hallway in my wheelchair. By chance, I stumbled upon Isabella and Lucas talking at the far end of the corridor. Instinctively, I ducked back around the corner and, despite knowing it wasn't right, eavesdropped on their conversation. I went through all that trouble to help you get the principal spot. And now you just give it up? Isabella scoffed. If your help is built on someone else's suffering, then you should just drop it. Lucas, I don't need your kindness. And all these years, you've blamed our breakup on your family. But was that really the reason? When your mom caught us together, you were the one who pushed me out without a word. She accused me of one-side DLY seducing you. And you didn't say a thing to defend me. Did you? Lucas stayed silent. Isabella sighed and pulled an neatly folded letter from her bag. I went to your school and found this in Emily's dance studio. Lucas, There were two people in your life who truly loved you. Yet you let both of them down. You really don't deserve to live. Lucas held the small piece of letter paper. His eyes fixated on the prominent words at the top. I'll tell my future husband after I win the championship. I vaguely remembered the letter. I had spent a long time carefully crafting it, going through several drafts before settling on the final version. It was meant to be my acceptance speech. In the letter, I thanked my teacher and, with even greater emphasis, thanked Lucas. I wanted to tell him, thank you for taking care of me all these years. And I look forward to spending the rest of my life with you. Emily genuinely saw you as the person she wanted to spend her life with. And look at what you've done to her. Lucas. You make me sick. With no expression on my face, I listened to the muffled sound of a man sobbing around the corner. I lowered my head, wheeled myself back to the room. I later heard that Lucas confessed everything he had done on social media, then turned himself in. In the video, he was crying his heart out, apologizing to Isabella, and even more so to me. Justin never intended to tell me. I overheard it all myself. My life returned to a state of calm, like a still pond. The following spring, I was discharged from the hospital with Justin and Isabella by my side. After nearly 6 months of treatment, both my body and mind had mostly recovered, though I could no longer dance. When the reality of that hit me, I cried in bed, day and night, until I fell asleep, only to wake up and cry again. Justin held me tightly, comforting me until I gradually came to terms with the truth. At one point, I even thought about ending it all. I had already climbed up to the rooftop, but then I realized this wasn't my fault. The two of them took me home, and on the way, we bought some ingredients to prepare a small homecoming celebration. Isabella pointed at the hot pot in front of us, tipsy clinking her glass against mine. You know, I'm giving up my diet just for you today. Emily, be well. She had said that to me more than once. I smiled, nodded, and downed the drink. Justin gave me a meaningful look but said nothing, simply joining in for a toast. The three of us became good friends, meeting up for small gatherings from time to time. Occasionally, I'd even ask Justin to take me to watch Isabella's competitions. Sitting in the audience, I watched her graceful movements, effortlessly performing the moves I would never be able to do again. Deep inside, a dull ache lingered. That was the turning point of my life, the dream I had cherished for so long, carved out of my very bones. How could it not hurt? How could I not resent it? But I waited for a new passion to arrive. Tears welled up in my eyes as I watched the stage go dark, with only a single spotlight illuminating Isabella's elegant bow. I clapped so hard my palms hurt. It was as if I were watching a past version of myself, basking in the sunlight. Justin's perspective. A new little swan arrived at school quiet, always smiling, with a dimple on her cheek. The first time I saw her, she was in the dance studio, taking an exam. We were separated by a single window. I didn't understand the piece she was performing. I just remembered she was beautiful, dazzlingly beautiful. Later, I saw her at the freshman orientation. That's when I learned she had been admitted as the top student, the one every teacher had been fighting over even before the exam. My eyes were always drawn to her, but I never had the courage to approach. I kept my feelings hidden and stayed by her side as the most innocent of friends. After all, how could an ordinary grade uxed and next to a swan? Eventually, I was the one who brought her and Lucas together. My own insecurities pushed me to hand her over to someone else. The day Lucas showed up holding her hand, the sky was gray, and it snowed. I'm not sure if it was the world outside or my own world that had turned cold. I thought, if he treated her well, I had no reason to object. I had no right to. But he didn't. Lucas, relying on Emily's love for him, dealt her the cruelest blow. My heart shattered when I saw her locked in that basement. That swan would never fly again. And it was all my fault. When she screamed and broke down, It was as if she was squeezing my heart in her hands. The pain was suffocating. I hated myself for not being able to protect her. She became so fragile. Like glass. The slightest gust of wind could break her. I stayed at the hospital day and night, guarding her like a sentry. But there was always a faint cloud of sorrow on her face. Even in her sleep. If ending my own life could restore Emily's health, I'd say that's a fair trade. Later, I quietly investigated her childhood. The day I learned the truth, I couldn't describe how I felt. Over 10 years of abuse and torment. How did she rebuild herself after being destroyed over and over again? I didn't know what else I could do. So I took care of her in every way possible, helping her rediscover the world. Little by little. Luckily, she eventually found the will to live again. With Isabella by her side, playing and laughing with her, she slowly became more cheerful and stable. She even started joking with me and openly expressing her wishes. My little swan seemed ready to spread her wings once more. She gradually returned to the person she used to be. I knew the battle she fought with herself must have been exhausting. Every time she watched Isabella's performances, the longing in her eyes as she looked at the stage pierced my heart. Afterward, we traveled to many places together. But I never once mentioned the words "I love you." I had seen the way Emily looked at Lucas. She never looked at me like that. I didn't dare try. I was afraid that, in the end, we wouldn't even be able to remain friends. So this is how it will stay. I'll be the grey duck by the swan's side. Plain and unremarkable, but forever loyal.